And what is up, all you lovely people? Welcome back to Chats Unfiltered, episode 13 now. It's been absolutely unreal since coming back on the podcast, and we're only kicking it up a notch again with Isaac White. This guy is a talent. He's awesome, and this was probably one of, if not my favourite chat I've had on the podcast so far. He plays with the Illawarra Hawks in the NBL. He's an absolute stud. He's a star in the making. And it was awesome to chat about his journey. He went to Sacred Heart in South Australia before going to Standford University over in the States. There was so many unreal stories that he got to share with us. So I'm hoping you guys stick around and absolutely love every second of it. We do hit him with some rapid fire questions. Talk about obviously his college journey, his younger days, and his NBL career so far. We also have a few big sort of questions in there relating to the NBL and college players. The stories he got to share about some of the, people he played against, one being DeAndre Ayton in college, and who is now a massive star in the NBA as a young talent. It's unreal to sit down and listen and talk to these sort of people. So I'm super grateful for him coming on the show, obviously. I hope you guys enjoy. Stick around, subscribe, like, comment, leave reviews. You know what to do. Let's get into episode 13 with Isaac White. Let's go. And welcome back, Chats Unfiltered. Boy, oh boy, super keen. Isaac White is joining us on the show this week. How are you, mate?
Doing well, mate. Thanks for having me on.
I'm not going to lie to you. I've seen your Instagram, and fuck, man, you are handsome. You are a handsome chap.
Oh.
And now I've seen you over Zoom. Fuck, you're better in person, mate. What's the secret? Have you got a girlfriend? What's the go?
Nah, no girlfriend currently, mate. But no, I appreciate that. That's awesome to hear. Thank you.
Good skincare routine, mate. That's the way. That's the secrets, I think, to it.
That's it. Bit of ocean water.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the point of difference at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah,
the lettuce out the back.
Yeah, exactly right. So you're obviously a basketball player. This is why I'm into my sport. And when I heard I could maybe grab you on, I was super excited. You're with Illawarra Hawks in the NBL, which we will talk about down the track in the episode. But what got you into basketball? What age did you sort of start playing? And are you a South Aussie or are you from Illawarra?
Yeah, no, I'm a South Aussie. Obviously, growing up in Adelaide, it's probably more of a footy state than anything. So I grew up playing a lot of AFL and stuff like that. My dad played Aussie rules football and a bit of cricket on the side. So I was always surrounded by football. When I was in my early teens, my older brother, Sam, just started playing kind of socially, and he's always been a role model for me. I've just kind of followed what he did. So I gave it a crack, and playing in my younger years, I didn't take it too seriously, but I got pretty solid at around, 14-ish. And so started picking it up from there and taking it seriously.
Yep. Yeah, unreal. So Sturt was your home club in South Australia. What was it like through there? Were they your local club, or was that just something that you sort of went through with friends and family?
Yeah, no, they were my local club. I grew up in Colonel Gardens in Adelaide. So kind of just around the corner is, the home base of Sturt, Pasadena High School. So it was my local club, but looking back, I was pretty fortunate because Sturt, in terms of having a reputation for junior basketball, it's right up there in South Australia. So I was really fortunate, and I ended up playing with some kids from school and kind of had a good friendship group all the way through. But initially, it was just kind of luck of the draw. That's my local club, and that's the team my brother just started playing for initially.
Yeah. Nah. So I'm going to go straight into a highlight because it's just on the run sheet. It's going to have to ring a bell for Sturt. 65 points, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, talk us through it. What age group were you? And talk yourself up, mate, because that's what we're all about on Chats Unfiltered. I've put myself up way too many times, so run me through it.
Okay, so it was a youth league game, so I think it's under 23 is the age bracket. I was probably 18 years old because I was just about to go to college, and funnily enough, I think a lot of guys were missing that week. I think we had 5 players or something like that, so couldn't sub me out. And I knew that. So I just started pinging everything and started making everything. So I think I don't know, had maybe 35 40 at the half. And then I was like, okay, like it's kind of flowing. Let's see what we can do. And to be honest, my teammates were just getting around it, just giving me the ball and just tried to see what I could put up. So, and I guess the caliber of competition wasn't that high. It was like a little West Adelaide Bearcats youth league team. So look, definitely a highlight, but nothing I can really, hold in the long term. It's not necessarily the highest standard of basketball, unfortunately.
Yeah, nah, but I mean, if I'm doing that though, I'm still holding on to it, and I'm still telling people that I scored 65. I don't care what league it was. So were you? It's something that's always intrigued me into elite athletes. You hear a lot of stories that some of them weren't great when they were younger. Like there's a story on Michael Jordan that obviously he got cut from his high school basketball team, which is just ridiculous to think about. Were you in that sort of top batch of players coming through the younger junior grades, or were you obviously or you might have been a slow riser in that sort of area?
Yeah, I think it was interesting with my journey because when I was younger, when I first picked up, maybe like when I was in that under 15 age bracket, I was like quite good. I was probably one of the better players in the country. I kind of was 6 foot at that age, and I probably haven't grown since. So like I was like physically there, and skill wise, I was there. So I was really good when I was young. And then probably when everyone started, I guess, growing through like ages 15 through 17, I kind of dropped off a fair bit. There's like a SASI, they call it, South Australian Sports Institute, like a program, basically what they have in South Australia with the basketball, and they have like maybe a top 30 or something. So it's like almost an academy that they run. And initially I was in it, and then I kind of got cut from it for like 2 or 3 years there. So to start, I was probably up the top, and then I fell off a bit. And obviously that was frustrating. But then I kind of, by the end of high school, I made my way back to probably one of the top players in the country.
What does that do for you mentally? Like getting cut, did you sort of take that as a way to go like, I'm going to get better, I'm going to improve, or did it hit you a bit deep and some people quit from that, don't take the right way? How did you go about it?
Oh, it drove me nuts, to be honest with you. I've always been like extremely committed to my basketball. I mean, my sport in general. And it's always kind of almost to a fault ruled my life. Like since a young age, like if sport's good, life's good. And so when those times hit, like I remember the day I got cut from the team, and I kind of was on the phone to the institute coach, and he was just basically saying like, look, man, like you're pretty small now, and I don't know if you're a winner and stuff like that. And I remember just thinking like, well, I'm screwed now, but like, I'm not going to give up necessarily. So what I did was I just kind of took the back route, and me and my brother just kind of, on the side, got in the gym every morning. Cliche, but we just worked out as much as we could until kind of the results came. But I mean, it definitely crossed my mind to quit. Like, as I said, I grew up playing a lot of Australian rules footy. And I think you see a lot of guys, especially in the junior ages, like, if it gets tough with basketball, because it's such a thin cylinder, there's only really one pathway. Like, the temptation was there to just try a different sport or something like that. But being the person I am, I figured like, let's not give up yet. Let's be determined and see what we can do with it. So obviously I made my way back. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of people, they not necessarily obviously get cut, but they have to choose between sports. And I know like several people that, they might get cut from a team like in your position, and they go, oh, nah, the easy option is to just go to the next sport that I'm half decent at and try get somewhere with that. But yeah, credit to you to sticking at it. Was there development pathways? So with Stanford, SANFL in South Australia, which you'd be familiar with, in the AFL area, they have under, I think it's 14s now, 16s, 18s, all the way through to senior football, and that's a good way to develop and be in the system. Was there something like that around South Australia at your time of playing basketball?
Yeah, it's that one program called I think they call it NITP now, National Intensive Training Program, something like that. There's only one central program where it's like, I'd probably say it starts in under 14s, 15s now, where there's like the top 20 to 30 kids who just kind of get together and train a couple of times a week. And they're generally the guys who make like the state teams and go to the national tournaments. So that was the program I spoke of, where I was initially in it, then got cut, and then got back in it by the end. But the unfortunate thing is like they make decisions like that at such an early age. Like the kids are like 14 years old, and coaches are deciding like, yeah, this kid can be in the program, this kid can't. And obviously, people develop at different rates, and it's almost unfortunate because, like, I think a large majority of kids who get cut from that program think that that's it. And there's probably a lot of good potential basketballers who are missing out. So that's how it works at the moment. But I'd like to see that expand. Like, you look in other sports, like almost the clubs, like if you look at the soccer model in Europe, like the high level clubs have like respective academies, and they kind of grow kids through that. So there's more opportunity and more pathways to be at the elite level and train with, like, I guess, better programs.
Yeah. No, I can't get my head around young kids being cut at, say, the age of 14, and it to them, in that, because they haven't grown up yet, they're not 20, they can't look back at what they've done. To them, that's probably thinking, you're deciding for me that my career is over. Like, I cannot play at a high level. And at 14 years old, that's unbelievable. So yeah, it would be good to see it expand and have more people included. Sacred Heart, you went to Sacred Heart, and that being a private school, I know some of them have great sporting programs. I know a few people that went to Sacred Heart and play in the footy teams. Was that something you did? Did you play basketball through the school, or is that a sort of sport that you venture out and play state and club instead?
No, I think I did play for Sacred Heart. Honestly, some of my better basketball memories were with Sacred Heart. It was awesome, but it wasn't necessarily the biggest priority for me, because I guess the club and the state requirements are probably more important. But yeah, I attended Sacred Heart Middle in grade 8, and obviously I graduated Sacred Heart from year 12 in, I think, 2017. So I played for those 5 years all the way through it, and it was awesome. We were really good. We won the state championship, I think, twice out of those 5 years. So we went to a couple of nationals and stuff like that. Got to play with my brother. So no, that was awesome. They do a really good job, and they still are doing a good job. I come back to Sacred Heart probably every year or so and just kind of check in on them, and they're doing a really good job. They've invested a fair amount of money and resources into it. So it's good to see.
Yeah, mate. School sport can be literally the greatest time. Like, this is nothing compared to what you'd play, but I played school basketball, just the little tournaments that we have with other schools and whatnot. And they are some of the funnest days you'll ever experience, just because you're going to school, you wake up and you're like, yeah, I'm going and just playing basketball all day. How sick is this? And you take the piss out of it with your mates. It's awesome to look back on, especially when you finish year 12. You're like, what were the best times that I had? And it was probably the days that you went and just played sport and ran amok. So
I know.
The last sort of younger life thing, it's a bit more of a funny note, I'd say. Sean King, I know you know him. He actually got me through to you, which was super grateful for him. He says you had a bit of dancing, DJing career, maybe a few little videos. Do you reckon that could have taken off in America? He says it's with Cormac Ryan, if that rings a bell. I'm sure it would.
Yeah, I think it rings a bell. Well, Sean can talk himself because he's a bit of a rap demon himself. But yeah. Look, pre-TikTok era, my mate Cormac Ryan over in America and I were on an app similar to TikTok, and we just made a couple of videos that may have gone kind of viral. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I mean, we did kind of set the way for TikTok. Obviously, we had other priorities, but I mean, if you look at the content, if you're able to dig them up, it's quite clearly, we would have made it.
You would have been the real deal on TikTok.
Yeah. Absolutely, there's no question. It's high quality stuff. So.
Mate, I can't believe some of the TikTokers, they literally are setting themselves up financially free for life just from TikTok. It's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like,
no, it's incredible, man. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy.
All power to you. All power to you. Yeah,
exactly right. All right, state and Australian team basketball. Let's talk about it. What ages did you play state level basketball?
Under 16s is when I made my first team. And then I kind of didn't really make another one till I was 17, 18 years old. So like top age under 18s. So there's like a little 3-year gap in there. And then I made the under 20 team and beyond. That kind of was like aligned with the narrative I just spoke on previous. Like the first state team I made, I was actually the captain of the team. I had a horrible tournament, shot it poorly. That was kind of the start of my little downfall. And then by the time I made the under 18s team, and the 20s, I was back up the top and one of the leading scorer of the tournament, I think, by under 20. So that was a really good experience. And then national teams, I think I made my first when I was 17 going on 18 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, that's unreal. I've got in here under 20 nationals. Was
Yep.
that a big stepping stone for you? Sort of, because at that point you're not. This isn't fun anymore. You could turn this into something serious. Was that
Yeah.
a point in your life where you went, all right, I can make money from this as a career, as a job, and holy shit, that's just a fucking dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
Did that sort of go through your head?
Yeah, look, that tournament kind of was the one that did set a lot of things up for me. It was the under 20 tournament where I was a bottom age. So I think I was 18 years old. It was up in Ipswich, Queensland, and I kind of just slid into the team. And then by the time the team went away for the tournament, I had like a really good little, I guess, preseason with the group, and ended up starting for the team and leading the tournament in scoring. And so that tournament alone got me probably 70% of the college offers I got. It got me on my first Australian team. It got me training with the Adelaide 36ers in the NBL. So going into the tournament, I didn't necessarily know like what it could be, I guess, for me. I just kind of went in like, let's give it a crack, let's see what happens. But that tournament alone was massive for me, I guess, for my resume and for I guess my professional prospects and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. So Team Australia, run us through where did you play your tournaments? Who were some of the
Yep.
cool teams you versed, and any highlights that just come to mind? Because obviously playing for Australia, it's like just not many people get to do it, clearly.
Right.
But there'd be some huge highlights that would stay with you. So if there's any of those, I'd
Yeah,
love to hear them.
for sure. I mean, it's kind of weird the way they do it. Like there's not like an annual tournament necessarily. Like my first experience playing for Australia was it's called the Albert Schweitzer tournament. It's like a tournament over in Germany. It's basically Australia, China, and then a bunch of European teams. And so that was my first taste of it. It was tough. Like there was some games I got barely any minutes. Some games I played 30 plus, and had some great experiences. But probably my highlight was it's called the FIBA World Qualifiers. We played like over in Fiji. It's kind of interesting. You play New Zealand, and then you just play a bunch of islander countries like Guam, New Caledonia, Fiji, like all these, I guess, lower tier countries. And like we won the semi-final against Guam by I think 85,
Fuck.
and got into the final and played New Zealand. So like that was probably one of the fonder memories, just because like playing in a place like Fiji was super interesting. I remember it was like probably 30 something degrees, and so to keep the court warm, they'd open up like the baselines and just allow like wind flow to get in. And so with that came birds. So there'd be birds in the gym flying around, shitting on the court. So you'd be playing the game, like a world qualifier game, and you have to stop the game to wipe off the bird poo and continue playing. So like that was like an awesome basketball experience, just in terms of like getting a perspective on the world and just kind of seeing the conditions that like other people play under. But since then I've gone to Italy for the World Uni Games where we won a bronze. That was another highlight. So look, like I can't really pinpoint one experience with a national team that's superior. I guess winning the bronze medals from a success standpoint, but just traveling the world to play basketball is like fucking awesome, man. Like just seeing the world from different perspectives, seeing the way that different countries play the game and stuff like that. So like that's definitely been really valuable in my life and my career so far.
Yeah, definitely. If you can travel the world and play a sport, fuck, man, you are nothing to really complain about. I don't think that's living a lot of people's dream. Any advice to finish off sort of the basketball side of things? Any advice you can give to up and coming South Australians, even venture out to all Australians, young guys that want to take their game to the next level?
I think what I've learned throughout my experience is you've got to like be true to yourself and make sure you're enjoying what you're doing. I think not as specific to basketball, but more, I guess, sport and life. Like you've got to be honest with yourself. Like, do I really enjoy this? I think when you listen to like what I talked about with my journey, the reason it made it so easy to kind of fight through the adversities and the setbacks was like I loved basketball, and I knew the reward of maybe I could make a career out of it one day, and that's what I really wanted to do. So like that made I guess these adversities not too hard to deal with. So like I think step one is making sure you're being true to yourself and doing what you love to do. And I think step two is committing yourself to the grind of being the best player or person you can be, because there's a timeline to everything. Science has suggesting you probably can't play past 40. So that by the time you kind of get it together at 15, 16, like you've got a short window to make it happen, and you've got to kind of really commit yourself to it while you can.
Yeah, exactly right. Take what you've got. You never know. You don't have tomorrow. It's not guaranteed. So yeah, great advice. Let's break it up completely. I did flick you a message. I'm hoping you came a little bit prepared. We got a few little questions. Favorite quote? Do you have one at the top of your head that you know?
I do. I mean, I looked at the message.
Good.
I'll try not to screw it up. It's I actually heard it maybe a couple of months ago. It said like, you'll stop worrying about what people think of you when you understand how seldom they do. And that basically means like you stop worrying about what people think of you, what people say about you when you come to understand that people aren't really worrying about you. They're worrying about themselves. And I think that's something like I've dealt with a lot, like especially in a sport like basketball where coaches and selectors are always making decisions about you and having opinions on you. Like it doesn't really matter what people think of you. Like they're not thinking of you as much as you think. You've just kind of focus on yourself and do the right things, and it's all going to fall into place. So
yeah,
that's my quote.
That's good. I like that. It's a bit deep. I like that actually. There's a lot of meaning behind it.
It's deep, bro.
Yeah. No, I kind of compare that in the way of the podcast as well. Like I've had certain people early days, not so much now, but like that, they make fun of you for doing something that's not the norm. And it's not necessarily because they're making fun of you. It's because they're making maybe fun of you because they're not doing it, and it's not to their sort of appetite. But it's like, Absolutely. If you want to do something, just fucking go for it, eh? Like, just do
100%,
it.
100%, bro.
100%. Something or someone who inspired you in your basketball journey.
It's my brother. He, I spoke about him a bit. He's 2 years older than me. I basically copied everything he did to a T as a youngster. And he still kind of like is my guy. Like when I play, I think of him because like when I say we worked hard, like this dude was a fucking beast. Like we'd be 45-degree days in Adelaide, like peak summer, Christmas Day, Boxing Day. We'd be in the heat, just working on our ball handling, just demon shit. So like he's 5'11". I'm maybe like 6'1". I reckon if he was my height, he'd definitely be playing professionally too. So I kind of like always like a little bit of like, I feel like I'm representing the both of us when I play. So he's kind of my guy in that sense. But from a professional kind of inspirational guy, Patty Mills is still a big one for me. Like I love what he does. I think I kind of almost play a similar role to him. And if I want to make it to an elite level, I think it will be kind of the way he plays and the way he approaches it. So I kind of base my stuff on Patty in a sense, but my inspiration from like a perspective, it's my brother.
Yeah, unreal. Patty Mills, man. He's a different breed when it comes to playing for Australia, man. Like, so I don't know what happens to him, but fuck, he goes into just God mode. It's ridiculous.
Pops off, bro. It's nuts. It's nuts.
Crazy.
I'm all for it, though.
A little bit deeper note, a lower point in your career or just in life in general that may obviously you struggled and got through and yeah, here you are.
Yeah, I mean, when I was younger, I thought it was like not making a state team or something like that. But last year, my first pro career here in Illawarra, there was some dark days. Like I think I was on a 1-year contract. So obviously at the end of the season, I was kind of in a bit of a limbo. Like I wouldn't know where I was going to be. And it was maybe halfway through the season. I was copping a bunch of DNPs. I wasn't playing. I wasn't practicing well. And basically I had my circle around me, like, let me know, like, you've got to kind of make something happen or this could be it. And like, it's kind of ridiculous to hear when you're 22 years old and you've just started a pro career, but like, it's pretty cutthroat. And basically I heard like, you've got to get it together or I don't know, you might have to get sent to Europe and play in some random league. And fortunately, a couple of weeks later, someone got hurt. I got an opportunity and I started playing a lot of minutes and started playing pretty well. But prior to that, I think kind of facing that, I thought I'd maybe put in all the work, finally got to the other side, finally starting to kind of enjoy like the fruits of like college basketball, professional basketball, kind of being up the top again and being faced with the potential that it might be over just as quick as it started, was really tough for me. But I think fortunately I'm kind of in the clear again for a little bit, but I think it's just a good reminder that, it's pretty fickle when you've got to keep on your toes and you've got to keep working and always progressing. Otherwise it can catch up with you.
Yeah, sports just cutthroat. Like you said again, to think you're 22 years old and they're going to come to you and go, "This could be it, mate. Like, got to make something
Yeah.
happen." Fuck the pressure. It's ridiculous. But then
It's a
again,
business, bro.
obviously you're
Yeah.
signing up for that with the journey that you've had and you obviously made the most of it. And here you are. So fucking yeah, get around it. The best highlight of your sporting career or just life in general. What is something that comes to mind?
I think committing to Stanford University for me was a massive moment in my life. It was a dream of mine to play college basketball for years, maybe like 3 years until maybe from grade 9 onwards. I was sending emails. I had a list of every Division 1 school in college, and I would send an email every night at I think 2 a.m. my time. So it was the morning in America. The same email with my same highlight tape. I sent it every morning for like years. Until I finally kind of got some responses. And I think obviously as I got better, it got easier and stuff like that. But signing with Stanford for me was just like a massive moment. Obviously it's a great educational piece, but also high level basketball. So that was like probably the biggest moment in my life. And another peak of that was making my first Australian team. That was another thing I spoke on, where when you're in the junior programs, kind of the guys in the Australian teams are kind of highlighted to be the guy. And for many years I wasn't in that group, and that hurt a lot. So when I finally got on my first Australian team, I guess there are moments where all my hard work kind of felt right and it felt like it paid off.
Yeah, unreal. While we're on Stanford, because it was going to come a little bit later, but let's just get stuck into it because I'm just intrigued myself.
Yeah.
Applications, like how many did you get? Just talk me through the process, the offers, how you decide what was best for you, and yeah, how many
Yeah.
people were obviously keen for you to come over.
Yeah. So it's pretty interesting how it works for like an Australian in the college system. I think typically for Americans, like they play high school basketball, they play club basketball, sorry, in front of like coaches, and they understand the level, and it's pretty easy to like, recruit. For an Australian, it's tough because like my highlight tape might be me playing high school basketball in Australia, and the scouters don't really understand like how good is that level and stuff like that. So it wasn't until I made national teams that my recruitment really came in. I had, I don't know, probably like 20 to 30 Division 1 offers in total. I visited 4 schools. I visited Hawaii, Boise State, University of San Diego, and Stanford. And so the Stanford one was interesting because you've got to get recruited by the basketball program at Stanford. And usually that's it. Like at most schools, if the basketball team want you, you can sign, you're academically eligible. With Stanford, you've got to get into the basketball program. And then like all the other students, you've got to write like a written application to get into Stanford University. And so like there's a whole nother dimension to it, and that took months, and it was a long process. But basically the biggest battle was getting into the school academically. Once I got into the school academically, the basketball program could offer me and I could accept it. So it was an absolute mess to get to Stanford. It probably would have been a lot easier to just go to Boise State or Hawaii or something like that. But yeah, obviously it worked out in the long run.
Yeah. No regrets. Well, I forgot to ask you when we were talking about Sacred Heart. What were you like academically? You're obviously good basketball, a handsome man. Did you have the brains behind it?
Yeah, I was solid academically. I was. I wasn't necessarily like gifted, but I worked pretty hard at it, and I was strategic about what subjects I did. So I did get pretty solid scores in the end.
Yeah, nah, they're good. It's always about the subjects. Always choose the ones you're good at, because then you just absolutely kill it. It's good.
Exactly.
So how does the balance work in college, academically and obviously sporting wise? Are you taking different classes? How often do you train? And are you always in a basketball mindset?
Yeah, it's probably not as hectic as you'd think. The workload academically, I'd say it's like probably a little bit less than maybe a grade 12 in Australia. Like that, you're doing maybe 4 subjects at a time,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much year round. But it's not the same hours. You're not in class 6 hours a day. It's more like 3 hours a day. There's less homework. There's less requirements, and also as an athlete, you get kind of special provisions in terms of like getting assignments done in a bit later and stuff like that. But training was probably 6 days a week. Obviously, there's a lot of travel associated with it. and a lot of like off-court activities. Like you've got to go to fundraisers and stuff like that. But I mean, it's good preparation for the real world. I think you've got to balance like training once or twice a day, classes for a couple of hours a day, getting your food organized, getting your life organized and stuff like that. So it wasn't as bad as you think. And obviously there's a massive social piece there too. There's a lot of women, a lot of men to meet, and get around. So yeah, it was good.
We'll let that speak for itself, I reckon. A lot of women and men to meet.
Yeah.
Your favourite college of verse? You're obviously in Div 1. There's going to be some massive names. Favourite college of verse, and if there was any standout games for you personally, or even as a team?
Yeah, I think playing the bigger name schools at their place was great. We played at North Carolina. That was awesome.
That's insane.
That stadium is absolutely huge, bro. Like fits like 20 something thousand, I think, which for a basketball stadium is unbelievable. We lost that game, and then we played at Kansas in front of 17,000, just packed house. And so this is an interesting game. We lost in overtime. No, we lost in overtime, but I wasn't supposed to be a starter in that game. But Cormac, the dancing guy, he came late to breakfast. He's my position. He came 5 minutes late to breakfast. So the coach said, "You're not starting." Like, to punish him, "You're not starting. Isaac, you'll start." So I start the game, whack a 3-ball first play, whack another 3-ball. And then I end up playing like 30 something minutes, had like 17 points. And we lost in overtime at Kansas in front of 17,000 people. So that was for sure the coolest game, like the best atmosphere ever. I was a big part of the game, so that was awesome, but all because Cormac came late to breakfast. So that was
I think you should be thanking him a lot.
I did. Don't worry, it's been covered, bro. It's all good.
That's a fucking tough punishment, man. 5 minutes and you're getting sat on the bench. Jesus,
Gotta be organized.
You're better off for it, so that's all right. Exactly. Was there any big names like in those teams that you versed? Like, what was the biggest name, if there was one?
I mean, we played Markel Fultz, we played DeAndre Ayton, Alonzo Trier was in and out of the NBA for a bit. Trying to think, Aaron Holiday, he was a beast in college. He gave us 30 almost every time we played him. And then Mobley's in the NBA now. A lot of names, man. I can't list all of them, but DeAndre Ayton was probably the biggest name who's in the NBA now that kind of gave us work.
He's fucking big boy, obviously. But that's unreal.
Yeah.
That's what the equivalent of you going to bloody not university, playing Stanford against like Dusty Martin or something. That's just
right.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's huge.
Yeah.
Is college? So this is the thing I've always wondered. There's plenty of movies. There's plenty of everything about college life. Is it like the stereotypical college life, like it's portrayed, like with the massive sporting team hypes, with just all those sorts of things you see in movies? Is that what college is like?
So I mean, the movies are polarizing. My experience at Stanford was not exactly what you see in the movies. However, it's true for some schools. So like, basically, this is the way I view it. Like the private schools are usually a little bit smaller and a little stricter, I guess. So Stanford being that, like, it's less of a party scene. People kind of are more academic and stuff like that. But then there's schools like San Diego State, for example, that's got like 40,000 kids on campus and is known to be a party school. That I'm absolutely sure that would be probably more extreme than the movie suggests. So it depends which school you're talking about. There's definitely like a massive fraternity social scene. But my experience at Stanford was probably less so than what you'd expect. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now going into, it's probably a big question. I'm keen to get your answer on it. You were in the phase of college when players, like, not even a cent. You don't get a cent even if you're the best of the best.
Yeah.
Do you think the college players should be, because they are performing for some big brands, like they are the future. Do you think money should be given to players in college like they are in professional leagues like the NBL?
I do. I think there's definitely, you've got to be careful. I think it's got to be even. You've got to find a way to, I have no issue with players going and kind of finding personal endorsements. So for example, if I was in college and a shoe brand hit me up and said, you wear our stuff, we'll pay you. I think that's fine. I don't think it's fair to kind of plug a richer school, like plug Duke with all these money, pay the players because they have it, whereas guys at a lower tier school aren't getting any money. So I think you've got to keep it even and maybe give everyone the opportunity to go and get their own promotions and stuff like that. But I think it's dangerous to kind of give the power, because there's a massive discrepancy in money and funding between the higher, even within Division One. You look at like a Duke compared to Chicago State, for example. Duke could be paying their players hundreds of thousands. Chicago can barely fund their education. So
yeah,
I think you've got to be careful. But I definitely think that's the direction it's moving, where players should be able to, if they've got a brand to sell, they should be able to sell that. They probably shouldn't be held back from that. But there should be probably some rules still in place, I think.
Yeah, definitely. You have to work out a way, because it's like, again, in South Australia, if money was a massive factor, you've got private schools that would just be dominating and giving out all this money, and the lower schools obviously not coping well with it. A lot of players have been coming to international leagues. Josh Giddey, a massive one. I'm a huge fan of Josh Giddey. I love the bloke. Yeah. He came. Obviously, LaMelo Ball, another massive name that came to the NBL. Can you see more players doing that instead of going to college? Because obviously, one, money's a factor, and two, obviously, they're playing against grown men. Is that something that you can see happening a lot more in the future?
I can. I haven't thought about it too much. I think definitely over the next few years, you'll see it being extremely popular. I reckon college basketball is probably, if it wants to survive, is going to have to do something different to kind of lure those players back. Because if you look, like, they're losing guys like Giddey, LaMelo Ball, stuff like that. Like, they're losing a ton of exposure themselves. So unless college basketball, changes some things, whether it's with the promotional stuff or endorsements, I think players will continue to do it. Especially leagues like the one in Australia, like where it's English spoken, it's comfortable living. I don't see why you wouldn't want to go and play in a pro league. And especially because, like, you probably don't have to perform as well as in college. Like in a professional league, if you're doing solid as a kid, like, that's going to stand out. That proves that you kind of hold your own. Whereas in college, you've probably got to be like great. You know what I mean? You've got to be top tier to kind of stand out. Like, there's not really that age gap to work in your favor. So
yeah, definitely. I think if you come to an international league and you're playing against grown men, to me, grown men gets preference over anything. You're playing against guys that are bigger, stronger than you, and you can handle your weight. If you had your time again, would you stick with the college route, or would you go professionally if that was an option?
Yeah, I think the NBL has grown over the last couple of years to kind of a whole different beast. If I was coming out of high school and I didn't have Stanford as an offer, I probably would have gone straight to the NBL. I think just to kind of earn money and get the professional thing rolling. But I think in the long run, having a degree from a school like that is going to be big for me, because, as I said, man, basketball will probably only last me till I'm 40 if I'm lucky. So I got a whole lot of life to live after that. And I think I'll probably have to use that degree to get back into the workspace. So Stanford aside, I'd probably go professional, but no, I probably wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't know. I'd love to live. I know you can go internationally, make money, but fuck, man, college experience would just be unbelievable. Not many people get to say they did it. So that's definitely something that would be awesome. Trent, who is a basketball fanatic, he asked a quick question. Best thing about playing at Stanford? If you can even knuckle down one, because there'd be a fucking bunch of shit, obviously, but
there's a bunch.
One of the best things.
I'd say playing, it's probably not specific to Stanford, but playing college basketball is the opposition student sections. That stuff's great. Like, I don't know if you've seen it on YouTube or what, but students get around the games and they come up with some wild stuff, make it awfully entertaining. One time at Stanford, for example, we played Montana, and they had one of their better players came to town, and our student section somehow found his Tinder and blew up on like a big A3 sheet, blew up his Tinder profile with some messages. And they're just like in the stands holding his messages up. And that was great. That's just an example of like the lengths they go to. They do a great job of kind of putting the opposition off. So that's a big part of it. The kind of the student involvement is sick. It's dope.
Yeah. And I don't know, there'd be no better feeling than just having your whole school behind you, people cheering, going nuts and doing funny things like that. That's fucking hilarious. Tinder, get around it.
Yeah.
Before we go into some NBL stuff, we're going to do a quick rapid fire. I used to do this on the podcast, real early days, but I'm going to try to bring it back because it just gets to know the guests a little bit more. And yeah, it could get a little bit funny. You never know. So I'm just going to ask you, just rapid it straight back as quick as you can. Don't think too much. I like some raw reactions. They can be the best sometimes. But all right. Do you have your own Netflix account or do you stinge and use someone else's?
I use someone else's.
You don't use someone else's.
I do, man. I do. I actually have multiple. I have multiple of other people's. So,
Resources. Yeah. I like it. You're a smart
Resources,
bro. Guilty pleasure.
Damn. Ice cream after a bad game.
Yeah. Oh, you just go through the Macca's drive-through, mate, and just get a McFlurry. Nothing better.
It's too easy.
Celebrity crush?
Dua Lipa.
Nice. One thing you wish you learned sooner?
Pick your moments to speak.
Fucking great call. You don't want to get yourself in trouble. Biggest fear?
Dying, for sure.
Fucking, let's just get deep there right now.
Hate it, bro.
Favorite TV show?
Too Hot to Handle on Netflix, to be honest.
Wow, you are that guy. Yeah. Let's go.
I'm him, bro. That's me, yeah.
Funniest player from the Hawks?
Justinian Jessup.
Most annoying player from the Hawks?
Harry Froling.
Which subject were you best at school?
English.
Worst at school?
Chemistry.
Oh, interesting. If you could be professional at any other sport, what would it be?
Lately, I'm going to say cricket. The Ashes got me going.
Oh, bro. That just made me feel some sort of way. Hey, that was fucking
nuts, bro.
Scotty Boland just taking wickets left, right, and centre.
Champion. Like, unbelievable.
Bro. And like, I saw all their celebrations on social media after, and some of them were literally 6:30 in the morning, just drinking piss in their whites. And it's on social media. Yeah. People are bagging it. I'm like, bro, they deserve this, man. They have represented the country. We have dominated England.
They can do what they like, bro.
them drink for a week straight and give a fuck. Let's be honest. All right, the NBL so far. Let's just quickly run through it. Near the end of the episode, first week with the Hawks when signing. What was the experience like? And yeah, talk us through how it sort of went.
Yeah, so it was funny. I came straight out of college and I hadn't been paid yet, so I didn't have money. So I was sleeping on a mattress on the floor in my teammate's apartment. So it was kind of like Povo living at the time.
Yeah.
But it was good. Just getting around kind of the veteran guys was great. It was pretty chill. We were just shooting around, working out, like pretty light at the time, but good little introduction. And then also I kind of really liked the place. I live in Wollongong, Illawarra, beach city. Really like the living side of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sick. What's an average day like in the life of an NBL player?
So average days kind of wake up around 7, go to weights by 7:40, get swole for an hour or two, go get a coffee with my teammates, the ones I like, go to practice for a couple of hours, 2-3 hours, get that done, go straight into the water at the ocean. Our stadium's basically on the water, so we go straight into the water, come home, nap a little bit, go back and shoot if we can. If not, cook some dinner and then hang out with my friends, play some PlayStation, go to a trivia night, play some darts. We'll see.
Yeah, nice. A man that I love, Matty Waltz, he asked the difference between Australian and college basketball in terms of training schedule, games, and lifestyle, the whole lot.
I'd say the college training is a lot more structured and kind of almost babied. You're kind of like, everything's a lot more like taught, whereas in the professional scene, it's a lot looser in terms of like, the coaches understand they're dealing with men. They don't really need to be micromanaged as much. And then also, I think in the professional scene, like if guys are sore, for example, and like they're hurt, they can just tell the coach, like, I kind of need to chill a little bit today, and coaches will be a lot more understanding. Whereas in college, they're like, as I said, they're more controlling and kind of will force the issue.
Yeah. Nah. So Like, yeah, I can definitely see that college it'd just be full on. Like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Like the things that you hear about, these players going through, the pressures, it's just fucked. It's just ridiculous. For Isaac White, mate, I love dreams. Dream big. What's the sort of ultimate goal for you? Where do you want to sort of be in 2, 3, 4, 5 years? What's the end point?
Yeah. The end point's always going to be the NBA till I die. I want to play in the NBA. Obviously, it would take some work to get there, but and I'm not trying to look too far ahead. But the dream is the NBA. I'm not ashamed to say it, and to play in the Olympics. They're my two big goals. I don't have a timeline for it right now. I'm just trying to be where my feet are and just figure this stuff out here. But that's where I want to head. Yeah.
Yeah, fucking oath. Gotta love the grind. That's what everyone's been telling me. It's hard work sometimes, but you gotta fucking just love the grind and just dream big. South Aussie boy. If that dream doesn't come true of going to the NBA, it might come true and you might come back to South Australia. Is 36ers something you would love to do before you hang up the boots, as we'd say in footy?
Yeah, it's not necessarily like I don't have a burning desire to play for Adelaide. Like whatever the best fit is, if it's the best fit for me, I'm all about it. But I'm not, right now I'm playing for Illawarra. I'm not going to say I'm all about Adelaide or anything like that. But
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you one thing: my family would love it. They're all in Adelaide still, and they'd love me to play in Adelaide. But I go with the flow. I'll just go where the best situation is for me.
Yeah, definitely. And we've already pretty much covered what your sort of end point is. But the next year, mate, what does it look like for you in the NBL? Where do you want to be at the end of the year? What's it holding?
Trying to win a championship, man. We got a great team right now. I think we're sitting in second or third, but it's no secret we have a great squad. We probably picked to win it. So priorities to win a championship. Obviously, I'd like to be as involved as possible, but I don't know, man. Like judged off last season, I'm going to see both ends of it. Some games I'll play, some games I won't. Some games will go great, some games will be terrible. I'm just going to try and keep getting better. That's the main thing for me. I'm still young and I've still got a long way to go. So just got to keep committing to the kind of after hours stuff and getting better off the floor.
Yeah, long journey ahead, mate. It has been an absolute pleasure. Oh, fuck, mate. I still can't get over how handsome you are. I'm not going to lie. Fuck, man.
Stop, bro. Stop it.
And the drip, man. Do you guys do that all the time? Like, when you come into... Because in the AFL, they have to wear all their club polos, all that shit. Do you come in and you're just like, fuck, man, let's just flex right now. Let's just wear some dunks. Let's get it on?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know if it's a league-wide thing, but our cameraman loves it and encourages it. He always reminds us, all right, boys, game tomorrow, like, do your worst. And so, yeah, a lot of the boys are getting around it. We get we got a good media guy, takes some tough flicks. So it's something that I didn't really commit to too much last year. I was usually just wearing the team stuff, but this year I've kind of gone gung-ho and going for it, bro.
Yeah, I love it, fucking mate. I'll be watching out some fit inspo.
Sweet,
it's been a pleasure, mate. Thanks for heaps coming on Chats Unfiltered. All the best for the rest of the year and fucking win a championship, brother.
Will do, bro. Thank you.